March 10, 2026. Mount Aya, Hawaii Keck Observatory. The summit, nearly 14,000 feet above sea level, is cold, still, and quiet. It's the kind of place where silence dominates, a place that calls for patience and precision. At nearly midnight, one scientist, a spectrographic analyst, is running a routine calibration check, just another night in the observatory. She's done this countless times before, comparing the upper atmosphere's chemical composition against baseline data from the previous week. But tonight, something catches her eye. She sees a number that makes her stop. It's unexpected, not just slightly off, but so off that it should be impossible. The upper ionosphere above the Pacific Ocean is registering a strontium concentration of 14%. Let that sink in for a moment. Strontium. In every comet observed in history, the strontium concentration has never exceeded 1,000th of 1%. Whether it was the Rosetta mission's extensive study of Comet 67P or the famous observations of Halley's Comet, this element has always appeared in trace amounts. Never, in the entire history of cometary science, has strontium been observed at a concentration like this. Yet tonight, in the upper atmosphere above the Pacific, it's 14%. She calls the duty astronomer to check the numbers. He looks at the data and, for a long moment, says nothing. Then, without a word, he walks to the window and looks up. What he sees isn't anything like the usual celestial phenomena. The sky is turning purple, no, not the soft green shimmer of the northern lights, nor the familiar red glow of a solar storm. It's a deep electric violet spreading across the sky from horizon to zenith. The entire hemisphere above them is bathed in this eerie light, visible, real, growing. This is the moment when what was once a simple scientific observation turned into something far more extraordinary. What this analyst was looking at was not just an unexpected chemical reading, it was something far larger, something none of us were prepared for. The sky wasn't just changing because of a weather pattern or solar activity. No, it was reacting to something far beyond our solar system. Think about this. In the history of science, the most groundbreaking discoveries rarely happen with loud announcements. They are often made in quiet, unassuming moments. Tonight, on this cold Hawaiian mountaintop, something just as groundbreaking might be unfolding. Because what that analyst saw wasn't an ordinary phenomenon, it was the Earth's atmosphere reacting to something that came from outside the solar system. And the implications of what it means are profound. Stay with me as we delve deeper into this extraordinary event, because this wasn't just a comet or a random space object. It was something with a chemical signature that suggests it wasn't formed naturally. It was created. Let me explain why this matters. When a comet approaches the sun, its heat causes the frozen material water, ice, carbon dioxide, ammonia to sublimate. This means it goes straight from a solid state to gas, bypassing the liquid phase entirely. This process creates the familiar glowing coma and tail that we see as the comet nears the sun. It's a natural phenomenon that we've observed time and time again, and the chemistry behind it is consistent. The vast majority of the gas produced is water vapor, followed by small amounts of carbon compounds. Even heavy metals like strontium appear in trace amounts, barely detectable even with the most sensitive instruments. But 14% strontium? That's not a trace amount. In fact, it's the dominant ingredient in this gas cloud, and that's where the science gets mind-boggling. To put it into perspective, imagine you find a block of ice in Antarctica. It's 14% pure, refined titanium. Now, that's something extraordinary, right? You wouldn't call it a strange geological formation. You'd immediately think someone placed it there. That's exactly what we're dealing with when we look at this strontium concentration. This gas cloud didn't behave the way natural processes dictate it should. Normally, when gas is released into space, it expands into the vacuum, its molecules spreading out in all directions until the concentration eventually drops to zero. Think of it like opening a bottle of perfume in a room. The scent disperses until it's gone. This process is irreversible, and it happens even faster in the vacuum of space. But that's not what happened with this gas cloud from 3I, Atlas. Between noon and 6 p.m. UTC on March 8, 2026, the cloud traveled through interplanetary space for 6 hours. And when scientists looked at it, they found something unbelievable. The gas cloud didn't expand. It held its shape, like a soap bubble moving through the air, undisturbed. It didn't disperse. It didn't diffuse into space. It remained intact, maintaining its spherical geometry across the entire journey. Satellite data confirmed this unusual behavior. The cloud wasn't just floating through space, it was magnetically confined. The ionized particles within it were being held together by an internal electromagnetic structure. This structure wasn't a random occurrence. It was guiding the cloud directly toward Earth. When the cloud reached Earth's magnetosphere, the part of our planet that protects us from charged particles, it didn't behave the way most plasma clouds do. Normally, plasma clouds follow the magnetic field lines toward the poles, creating auroras. But this cloud didn't follow those lines. Instead, it decelerated against the solar wind, which blows outward from the sun at 400 kilometers per second, forcing particles away from the sun's influence. This cloud didn't move like a normal comet. It moved like it had a purpose. It didn't float into our atmosphere. It anchored itself. It settled into the upper ionosphere, exactly where it needed to be, as if it had a plan. And that plan didn't just involve passing through Earth's atmosphere. It was much more deliberate, much more calculated. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Think about what it would take to produce this kind of behavior. What kind of technology, intelligence, or force could create a gas cloud, hold it together in a vacuum, and guide it so precisely across millions of kilometers of space? This wasn't a random natural event. It wasn't the result of chaos or the natural sublimation of a comet. This was engineering, not nature. Something or someone was controlling it. But it doesn't stop there. Because when the cloud settled into Earth's ionosphere, it started to do something even stranger. At 4:30 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated on March 9, 2026, something extraordinary happened. The gas cloud, now settled in Earth's upper atmosphere, began to pulse. It wasn't random or erratic. No, it was rhythmic, a steady oscillation. The frequency was precisely 7.83 Hertz. Now, this is a number that's not just arbitrary. It's the Schumann resonance, a frequency that's intrinsic to Earth itself. The Schumann resonance is the planet's natural electromagnetic standing wave created by lightning discharges in Earth's atmosphere. It resonates between the Earth's surface and the lower boundary of the ionosphere, essentially the Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat. Why does this matter? Because this frequency, the very heartbeat of Earth, is also the frequency at which every living organism on Earth has evolved to operate. Our nervous systems, shaped over billions of years, have adapted to this frequency. It influences the rhythms of our bodies, syncing with our biological processes in ways that are still being studied. So, when this gas cloud from 3I, Atlas, began to pulse at the Schumann resonance, it wasn't just emitting any random signal. It was emitting a signal in tune with the rhythm of life on Earth. Imagine the significance of that. This cloud, this object from beyond our solar system, was resonating with the very core of our planet. It wasn't just a passive visitor. It was actively in sync with Earth's own electromagnetic field. But the story doesn't end there. The ionosphere, which was already reacting to the presence of this cloud, began to change in ways that no one could have predicted. The electron density above the Earth's surface, something that is typically stable, jumped by 400% in just 6 hours. That's not a small shift. That's a massive alteration in the composition of Earth's upper atmosphere, one that scientists are still grappling to understand. What's even more remarkable is that this change wasn't just an incidental effect of the cloud's presence. It wasn't just the natural course of the cloud moving through Earth's atmosphere. No, this cloud was doing something to Earth's atmosphere. It was actively interacting with it. The cloud wasn't just moving through space and time, it was changing the physical structure of the ionosphere. And that change wasn't just noticeable, it was profound. The sky, now glowing in an electric violet hue, wasn't simply reflecting light. It was responding to something with purpose, something with intelligence. And this wasn't an isolated event. The pattern of behavior continued, and as it did, the cloud began to do something even stranger. At 6:15 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated, something that further defied the laws of physics happened. The gas cloud focused its energy. Imagine holding a magnifying glass on a sunny afternoon and directing the light onto a dry leaf. The once dispersed sunlight, now concentrated into a single point, begins to burn the leaf. Not because you added extra energy, but because you organized it. You gave it focus and direction. This is exactly what happened with the cloud from 3I, Atlas. The solar wind, a constant stream of charged particles from the sun traveling outward at 400 kilometers per second, is diffuse and erratic. It's everywhere, but it's scattered. Normally, solar wind particles spread out in all directions, unable to concentrate and direct themselves, but this cloud, it did something extraordinary. At precisely 6:15 UTC, the cloud began channeling the solar wind, organizing it into a coherent, directed beam. It didn't just allow the solar wind to pass, it focused it, it aimed it, and it aimed it at something specific on Earth, a remote point in the South Pacific known as Point Nemo, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. This is the farthest point on Earth from any landmass. So isolated, so quiet, it's where we send old satellites to die, far beyond the reach of human civilization. Why Point Nemo? Why this precise location? The answer, I believe, lies in the electromagnetic nature of the spot. Point Nemo is one of the most electromagnetically silent places on Earth, untouched by the radio frequency noise of cities and technological infrastructure. It's the perfect location for sending a signal. If you wanted to ensure a transmission reached Earth without interference, without any possibility of signal absorption or scattering, you would choose exactly this spot. It's a natural receiver, unclouded by human activity. And the signal that was sent there wasn't just noise. It was encoded with something deeply significant, the Fibonacci sequence. This sequence, the one where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, appears throughout nature. From the spirals in galaxies to the arrangement of sunflower seeds, the Fibonacci sequence is a fundamental pattern of nature's organization. It's a pattern that reflects the natural order of growth and efficiency. But here's the key difference. Nature doesn't broadcast the Fibonacci sequence. Nature doesn't encode it into a transmission and target it at a specific location. When you see this sequence being transmitted deliberately as a modulated digital signal, it's not natural. It's something engineered, something chosen. This wasn't a random occurrence. Someone, something, decided to send this message. As the signal hit Point Nemo, the effects were immediate and extraordinary. The ocean temperature at that specific point began to rise, but not gradually, as it would if the sun were heating it over days or weeks. No, The temperature jumped by 4 degrees Celsius in just 20 minutes. That's not how natural ocean heating works. This was an immense, concentrated energy delivery, one that came from above, heating the ocean from the top down. This type of rapid heating, concentrated and directed, defies any natural atmospheric processes we know. This is not just an anomaly. This is a signal one that demands our attention. And when you consider everything that has happened up to this point, the arrival of a magnetically confined cloud from beyond the solar system, its behavior in defiance of physical laws, its resonance with Earth's electromagnetic frequency, and now its transmission of the Fibonacci sequence, it becomes impossible to ignore the possibility that this is not just an observation, this is an intentional act. As we continue to observe this unprecedented event, the data increasingly points to one undeniable conclusion. We are not witnessing a random cosmic occurrence, nor a natural phenomenon. What is unfolding right now is the result of deliberate, calculated action. The cloud from 3I, Atlas, which defied the laws of physics to enter Earth's atmosphere and resonate with the planet's electromagnetic field, is actively reshaping Earth's atmosphere, and its effects are far from over. The cloud's ability to concentrate and organize solar wind into a directed beam, aimed precisely at Point Nemo, is evidence of an advanced technological process, one that controls and manipulates energy with pinpoint accuracy. And the transmission of the Fibonacci sequence to that specific point on Earth is no coincidence. The Fibonacci sequence, a pattern that governs the most efficient growth and structure in nature, was not transmitted randomly. It was encoded with purpose, a clear signal that something or someone understood both the structure of our planet and how to communicate with it. The manipulation of Earth's atmosphere, especially the depletion of ozone, is something that cannot be ignored. The drop in ozone levels, coupled with the cloud's growth, indicates an ongoing process of transformation, one that could alter the conditions necessary for life on Earth. We've speculated about the possibility of terraforming other planets, but this isn't a hypothetical exercise. This is happening here, now. It's happening to our planet, and it's happening with precision and purpose. As the cloud continues to grow, feeding off the atmosphere, we are left to question its ultimate goal. Is this simply a study of Earth? A quiet, careful observation as a higher intelligence examines the conditions of our planet before making its move? Or is this the beginning of something more profound, more disruptive, and possibly more transformative than anything we can yet comprehend? The evidence doesn't point to a passive observation. Every action, every change, every detail suggests a deliberate plan, a process with intent. This cloud, this object from beyond our solar system, is not just observing Earth. It's interacting with it, transforming it, and it's doing so in a way that suggests a deep understanding of Earth's biology, chemistry, and electromagnetic systems. The level of knowledge required to carry out such an operation is staggering. The sophistication behind it implies a level of intelligence and technology that is far beyond anything we currently understand. And now, as we stand at the edge of this unfolding mystery, one thing becomes clear. We are not being observed simply for the sake of observation. We are being prepared. But for what exactly? The purple sky above the Pacific is not just a light show. It is not a coincidence of chemistry. It is a message. And that message, though we may not fully understand it yet, is one that will change everything. The cloud is still growing. The signal is still transmitting. And somewhere above the South Pacific, something is happening, something that will leave a lasting mark on Earth's atmosphere long after 3I, Atlas, has passed Jupiter and disappeared into the void between the stars. We were not just being watched, we were being prepared for something. And though we don't know exactly what that something is, the preparations have already begun.